Linda Shell, and I am the partnership specialist for the Upstate. I am so happy and elated that you could join us today to talk about this significant event that's going to happen. First, I would like to introduce you to Willie Madden. He is the president of the Westside Community Center.
Good afternoon, everyone. We'd like to welcome you to the Westside Community Center. My name is Willie Hatton. I'm the chairman of the board for the Westside Community Center. And on behalf of Dr. Thompson and the board, we'd like to welcome you to this event. The Westside Community Center was organized in the early 1990s with just a handful of people to try and help and serve the community and improve the conditions in the community. We've come a long way, but we still got a long way to go. We have several entities that is within the building to try and help in helping the community become a better place in Anderson County. We have the hospital, who has a clinic on the backside here. DCEC, which serves the children. We have several other mentoring programs that is within the building. And I have a kind of a special part in this because I graduated from this building. I was the class of 1957. The first graduating class from the Westside Center was in 1951. The last graduating class was in 1971. Okay, and we took the building that was just sitting idle and we worked it. And I tell you, we worked it because we started out collecting newspapers and aluminum cans and whatever else we could get to try and get this building going. Fortunately, we got some support from ANMED and from some of the other police department, the county, and the other people within the community, and we was able to get to where we are now. And again, we glad that you chose the Westside Community Center to host this event, and we hope your stay is a pleasant one here.
And I want you to know that the Westside Community Center has been a major part of every census, and we are elated to be partner again this year. The next person I would like to welcome to the podium is Mayor Terrence Roberts.
Number one, on behalf of Dr. Thompson, thank you for being in the community center. Thank you for visiting. Those of you who are out of towners, thank you for coming to the Electric City. Appreciate you being here. I see a lot of familiar faces, and you know, these are the faces that represent so many different parts of our community. And this is an important event. And I was just talking to the director, and he's a South Carolina boy. We actually went and graduated from Winthrop University. He went to Winthrop in 1970. I graduated about 10 years later. But we will both have fun memories of Winthrop. And he might tell you a little bit about that. But again, this is an important conversation that we have. We're very lucky to have the director come down on this level. Obviously, you know, we are still a very small state. We have about 5 million people in our state. And we are, pockets of our community are very rural in nature. And so to make sure that we have a good understanding of the process and maybe even give some thoughts or suggestions on how we make sure that people get counted. Because that count represents so many different things, and the bottom line is that count has a lot to do with funding. And so it's important that we make sure that we get an accurate count, and we have the one person in the room that has some influence on, and maybe even some suggestions, and I understand he wants to hear from us about how we can make that happen. So we need to make this a good event, even though it might be a ways away, it's right upon us. And so with that, I want to again thank you for being involved in the census process. Whatever role you have is an important role in this process, and more than anything is that we have an opportunity to make sure that we let our fellow citizens understand how important it is to be counted. So again, thank you for allowing me to be here. Thank you for inviting me, and Linda is, we met a couple times, and she is wonderful to work with. So again, have a good day. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, and I don't know if you're like me, but that was such a delicious meal, and I certainly want to thank Councilwoman for all the arrangements and the refreshments. And then there's a dessert that's going to be over here on the table, and I've already had my picture made with the dessert. So, but it's exciting to be here. And as Manny said, we're kind of on a tour of what we consider sometimes the front line. We want to see what the needs are and what the issues are, and we want to learn about the progress being made at the local level. So we've had the occasion. I've only been in the job for about 6 months. And it's been a very busy 6 months. We like to describe this project. This is the biggest project, domestic project by the federal government since World War II. And it happens every 10 years, and we hire about 500,000 people. So if you know people that are interested in being listers and in being counters and would like to work with us, I'm going to ask my team to stand up here one more time so you can see their faces. Not just for the jobs, but for any questions. Everyone here from the Census Bureau, please stand up one more time. Okay. And got everybody? Certainly appreciate it, and Linda and Mary and everyone that made this possible. It's a great staff. I'm very honored that to be in charge of the Census Bureau and to be working with these professional people. And in our conversations, I share with groups frequently, especially when the staff is there. At the Census Bureau, people measure their careers by the number of decennial censuses. And we've had a number of people that this is their 4th or this is their 3rd decennial census. And I've met 2 people working with us. It's their 7th decennial census. So these are people in their early age people in their 80s. And they come back every 10 years. So these are temporary and term appointments sometimes. Many people who have retired from the Census Bureau, they can't wait to come back and participate in the big count. And so that's where we are. We're preparing for the big count. We had a big event in the nation's capital on April the 1st, 1 year out from the official census day, which is April 1st, 2020. And we had the press, we had some of our national partners. Now, I had the opportunity to walk through the school here a little bit and go to the library and meet some of the people. But one of our national partners at that big event was the president of the American Library Association. So one of the things you're going to hear in a minute from now is the new ways that you can answer the census. But one of the ways, of course, that you may have already heard about is the internet. And you can go in any library, and I'm told that we already have an arrangement with the county here. So any library in this county, you can go in, and if you want to answer it on the internet, you'll have access to the internet. So also in looking at this county, and we spent a few hours this morning driving around in some of the older areas that had been mill villages, etc. Though it's very important that you have the ability to respond in the way that you want. So we're engaged in many different preparations. I'll probably highlight a few, but I don't want to speak bureaucratic speak and tell you the things that necessarily that we sometimes concentrate on in Washington, but I want to learn from you here today. I'm particularly pleased to be at the podium after the mayor here spoke, and when he told me his family history and the association with Westside, and his father coming here in 1951, and he's in the Hall of Fame nationally and at the state level for his coaching, and he was an educator and a coach of the First Order, and then of course his mother was too. And there's a story behind that union as well. And then not only did he graduate from this very building, but he says his brother is now the principal at the new Westside High School. So there's so many stories here, and I heard a lot of the stories and learned a lot of the information this morning, but I want to commend you and thank you for having me here today to learn this. Someone pointed out, being from South Carolina and identifying with some of the people and things, and we were over in Congressman Clyburn's office yesterday. We were in Congressman Duncan's office this morning. We're making the rounds in a very fast fashion. We'll be back, though. But meeting and learning from the community leaders has been so important. The religious leaders, the nonprofit leaders, the government officials, etc. So I really want to thank the county and the county council persons that are here today, and I really want to thank the mayor, and I want to thank the staffs of both organizations, but I also want to thank all of you representing so many organizations. So I have a sheet here with 24 names and organizations. So I'm going to try to look and find your name as you comment. So I'll be sure to kind of absorb. But I saw some of your offices today. I saw some of your service deliveries. I saw a food kitchen today. I saw different things that it was just so encouraging to us. Now, in our preparations, I guess yesterday I compared it somewhat to D-Day, because there's some exciting stories with D-Day and preparing for D-Day. It was such a monumental exercise and so many preparations. And someone sent me the statistics, the battleships, the tanks, the troops, the parachutes, all the great statistics in preparing for that battle. Well, ours is not that kind of a battle. It's a much different type of a very important public service. And it comes around every 10 years. But we have a lot of preparations as well. So we're fully engaged in those preparations. We've actually been preparing for several years, but we are within the year. So even though it's official Census Day is not till April 1st of next year, we're very engaged, working each and every day. We're staffing up, and we will have our peak hiring early next year. We're hiring about 50 to 60,000 people by August to go through the neighborhoods and locate and count the houses, the residences. But ultimately, we'll be hiring several 100,000 next year when we're fully fledged in doing our responsibilities and ultimately knocking on some doors. But we don't want to knock on the doors. We absolutely do not. We want people to self-respond. And I will say that people in this county and people in this congressional district and in some others we've visited are somewhat above the state average. And the state average is above certain other state averages. So 10 years ago, in the 2010 census, you guys did a great job. I commend you on it. But we're going to do a better job this time. And we're going to raise that, because 2010 was much better than 2000, and 2020 will be even better. Now, why do I say it's going to be even better? One way is it's going to be easier. I like to tell people that this census is going to be easier, safer, and important. And though if you hear nothing else today, try to think about that. It's going to be easier, it's going to be safe, and it's going to be important. Now, it's easier because we've got two new options for you. You can answer it on the internet. So if you have connectivity, you can do that. If you don't use the internet, or you prefer not to use it, you can do it another way. You can do it on the phone. If you have a smartphone, you can fill it out on your smartphone. If you don't have a smartphone, but you have a telephone of any type, you can call our questionnaire assistance center, and they will walk you through it, and they will take your information. So you can answer the census this time anywhere, any place, at any time. You can do it at a Clemson football game. You can do it at an event at Anderson University. You can do it at a church event. You can do it at any kind of setting that you would like. You can do it at the food kitchen, wherever you want, particularly if you have access to a phone or a computer. But you can also do it the traditional way. If you want to, and you prefer that, you can fill out the paper, and you can mail it back. and we will remind you 5 times. So we're monitoring, we're highly automated, and we're checking, and if we don't get your response, we're going to send you a follow-up. It may be a postcard, and ultimately we'll send you another form. But remember, if you do it as fast as possible, if you do it on a computer, and if you do it on the phone, it saves the taxpayers dollars. It is more efficient and more effective. And so we encourage people. You know, you don't have to have internet skills or capabilities, but if you want to go to the library or if you want to come to this building right here, you can do it. If you want to use someone's phone or your own phone, you can do it. And if you want to mail it in, please mail it in. Please mail it in as soon as possible. Ultimately, we do have people that come around and knock on doors. And one of the things is that sometimes when they knock on the door and leave a message at your door, people decide, I better send that thing in. And they'll go ahead and send it in. So they don't want anybody knocking at the door again. So we appreciate that. Now, it's safe. I won't go into a lot of detail. But one thing that I like to remind people of is that we in the Census Bureau take a lifetime oath. For our lifetime, we can't reveal confidential information. And if we do, we go to federal prison for several years, and we pay several $100,000, and I don't have it. And I can't afford to do that. And no one else that in the Census Bureau can either, and no one ever has. So we have an excellent track record. Congress passed that law for a very important reason, and we adhere to that law. And we do it as a matter of professional pride, and we're committed to a culture of doing it. So the people of the Census Bureau that come back every 10 years to do this again, they're very proud of their activity, and they know how to do it, and they know how to do it right, and they will do it right. They're very dedicated individuals. So yes, it's easy. And another thing, a reason it's easy, and it applies to some, when I was going through the city, I saw some marquees and some signage in Spanish, and I'm told there's some other languages that maybe for some people in the community, English may not be the first language. We provide assistance in 6 languages, covering more than 99% of the population. And if you really fall in a very small group, and I happen to be from an area, Alexandria, Virginia, which in the school district has more than 100 languages represented, we will find the talent. We have the partnership specialists, and we have twice as many as we had in the last decennial census. So Linda and others will help you. They're assigned to your communities, and they're hiring people right now, by the way, even as partnership specialists. We hire people, particularly from the hard-to-count communities, to assist us. So we're looking, and if you know of people that want to do this on a full-time or part-time or temporary basis, depending on what they want to do, please see us or go to our website, and correct me here, Joski, if I'm wrong, but it's 2020census.gov/jobs. 2020census.gov/jobs. And please see and please apply. We do have far more applicants, believe it or not, even with this economy, than we'll be able to hire. We're getting 5 applicants for every position, but don't let that discourage you. We had, the last time I checked, it was more than 300,000 applicants already. But I probably shouldn't mention that because I don't want to discourage you. And of course, we're looking for the needs within those communities. So, we want people that are doing our duties for us that are from those communities. We're not going to be bringing in people from other states or other areas, not when we have good qualified people here. So that's an important thing that I want to remind you. Now, it's important. Why is it important? Most of you know. Sometimes we overemphasize from the federal government's perspective, and sometimes from public officials' perspectives, they're concentrating because resources are so much needed in all of our areas, in the educational system and everywhere else, on the roads. But there is more than $675 billion annually that's allocated using census data. So no one wants an undercount where you don't get your fair share. So the federal funds alone is very important, but the state funds for the people here from the state government and the state legislature, their funding also uses the same data, and from the local governments. Local governments use our funding each and every day, and everything from housing analysis to other social services in the communities. The data is used in the nonprofits, and the academics and the universities use our data. When you really think about any data that's being used, be it by government, by nonprofits, or by the private sector, almost always there's the use of population data with it. You associate the data, be it unemployment data, being it health data, you're always looking, okay, well, what size is this community? So that data is so valuable. We call it the backbone of domestic data, and that is the Census Bureau data. So it is important for all those reasons. It's important to drive our economy. We have a thriving economy that we want to thrive even further, and we use this data for that. Businesses use it to locate. If you want to attract businesses to Anderson County or the city of Anderson, they're going to look at your data. So all these different reasons, and I always say that I really wish I could get some analysts that could spend a year just trying to identify the primary uses and sort of prioritize the top 100 uses of the data. But in short, just let me tell you, it's important to you, and it's important to your community, and it's important to your family. So as we like to say, and the slogan of the campaign this year is, in fact, we tell everyone, it'll be in our literature, shape your future, start here, United Census. And someone, and I know who was responsible for getting this cake, but they put this on the cake, the dessert that's going to be available in just a few minutes whenever we finish our discussion here, if not sooner. But there's just so much good news that I could share with you. Basically, I'll summarize from the bureaucratic perspective, and that is we're on schedule, we're on budget, we have support of both houses of Congress and both parties in Congress. We're on message, we've got our message, and that and some other messages, and remember, the easy, the safe, and important messages, and we're really on track for a very successful census. Doesn't mean we don't have challenges. There are challenges out there, many different type challenges, and one of the challenges right now is concerns about a particular question that's before the courts now, and that the expectation of everyone is that the court will make a decision on that later this month. But despite the many challenges, we have the talent to get the job done. And I'm so proud of the people in the Census Bureau, but let me tell you, we can't do it. We certainly can't do it alone. And if anything is we've learned in the last 30 or 40 or 50 years is that you make the difference. You're the trusted voices. You're the partners. You're the stakeholders. You're the people that really get the job done. So if people have fears, if they have concerns, or if they just, for whatever reason, not thinking about the census, we're counting on you. You're our partners. They're going to look to people and figures that they respect in the leadership, in their churches, in their local governments, in their communities, and their family members. And so everyone here has an opportunity to help. And we very much appreciate your commitment. We appreciate the energy you bring to it. We appreciate the sincerity you bring to it. And many of you have helped in the past. We certainly appreciate that. And we very much appreciate your help in the future. So thank you so much.
Sure. The census is going to be important to every community. We have gone to some of the larger urban areas. We're in the process now of going to some more rural areas. We want to make sure we're reaching the hard to count in every community, and we're reaching the people in all the communities across America. And we very much appreciate the information that we're getting in South Carolina, in this particular region of South Carolina, and in this particular community. So it helps us to better understand what the community needs are and how we can best meet those needs.
The census is important to Anderson County and every municipality in the state and the nation, because the census head count helps us determine how many our congressional representation within the state. It also helps us determine the amount of federal dollars that we as a county receive for various programs that help to lower local tax rates and provide higher impact services to our citizens.
It was important for him to think enough of Anderson, South Carolina to be here when he could have been any place else, but he chose to come here to talk to us. I don't think it was because we are in danger or we didn't do it right last time. I just think that he selected a town here in Anderson and in South Carolina to talk with, and he came to us. Well, it's very important to District 2 because we are losing so much by not be counted. It is important for people to realize that the more you get more when you participate than you will get if you don't. A lot of the federal funds are channeled through the census, and if we will follow through with it and participate and sign ourselves up, let's say, it's possible that we could do better than what we're doing now in our neighborhood, in our housing, in our streets, and possibly everything that's important to life, a quality life.